And while everyone else is still joining in, you don't need to do anything yet. I just want to discuss one certain technique that we're going to do through the exercises that many people have been doing in a slightly strange way in the past. So for the moment, just sit on your yoga mat and have a look. So in this class, we're going to attempt to do a few push-ups, but also forward dives with a back bend. And usually you can do those on all fours on your knees or in a plank position. Now I'll start with the one in the plank position. That's the more advanced version for those who want to try. Just the general setup of this will be that you're in a nice long plank and having your neck nice and long. And the first thing that you're going to correct is just how much you push through your shoulders, because many people sink through their shoulders. So you really want to have wide shoulder blades with that. Then, as we do a forward dive in the back bend, most people just go down like this and go into a back bend upwards. Have a look at the angle of my forearm, because actually how it's intended to be is that you push yourself with your toes to the front, so your forearms stay at 90 degrees to the floor. You lower yourself. Now, your hips are still tucked under. You're not letting yourself hang through. From here, you lean upwards, still holding your pelvis, and then you're pushing yourself back. Now, I know that that's quite an athletic move. So for those people who will be on their knees, that will be looking something like this, really make sure that you are not just sinking down, but that you're diving to the front, then bending, still having your pelvis tucked in, then going into a back bend, and then pushing yourself back. Good. And then we'll just start the class of today. You're already in the mat, but take a seat on your heels. Just put your knees a little bit more than hips width apart. And what you'll do is you slowly start reaching with your arms to the front as far as you can. I'll shuffle a bit further back so people can see me. And you just arrive on your mat, feeling your breath into your belly and into your lower rib cage. And slow down the breath a bit. And then you start walking your hands all the way over to the right. That will open up your left lower back. Again, a few deep breaths through your left lower back, making sure that your buttocks are aiming to touch your heels all the time if you can. Then we go in a little bit of a twist, so you look underneath your right armpit, still staying on the right hand side, and you breathe. You'll feel a little bit of an opening through your left shoulder. Then, same position, just look underneath your left armpit and rotate over to the left and stay there for a few breaths. And then walk your hands to the center and all the way over towards your left. Again, making your spine nice and long, opening up through your right lower back. And give yourself a twist, looking underneath your right armpit, twisting to the right and breathing again. And then looking underneath your left armpit. And you breathe again, twisting to the left. And then slowly walk your hands to the center. And with every breath, you crawl them a little bit further to the front, really making a nice long spine. Imagine that your hands are as far away from your tailbone as you can, and use your breath to open up your rib cage. From this position, go on to all fours. When you're on all fours, you can have your wrists in the normal position, or you use your knuckles as you wish. Push through so that you're not sinking through your shoulder. And we're going to do what's called the cat and the cow. So on the out breath, you slowly tilt your pelvic bone and curl up, tucking your chin towards your chest. On a slow in breath, you tilt the other way, looking up towards the ceiling, sticking the buttocks out. Breathe out, curl the other way. Breathe in, arch your back, look up towards the ceiling a little bit. Breathe out, curl your spine, look down to the floor. One more. Look up towards the ceiling, arching your back. And down again. We'll do that once more, except that you try to move a little bit to the right side and left side, almost as if you're making an oval shape with your body. So we start curling up, sticking our bum to the right, bringing it over to the left, and starting to arch as we go to the front left arm, and then curling up again via our right shoulder, sticking your right bum out, your left bum out, left shoulder going into an arch, staying into the arch to the right shoulder, and curling once more. And we take 2 more circles like that. From the middle, you start doing the same circles to the right. You start with your right bum up into the right shoulder, left shoulder. Curl up again, left bum sticks out, right bum sticks out. Roll, curl up, right shoulder, left shoulder. Left buttocks, and once more, right buttocks, left. And come to the middle. From this position, just push yourself into the first plank of today. If you have to stay on your knees, that's all right as well. And we'll just set our shoulders for the sessions. So we're going to do a few, what I call shoulder blade push-ups. So you let your shoulders sink through, your torso through your shoulders, and you push up, and you let it sink through, and you push up. We're going to do 5 more. 1. So your elbows keep as they are, just from your shoulders and your torso you make the movements. 3, 4, and 5. Then slowly lower yourself onto all fours. Put your hands and your feet a little bit further apart, and we're going to work our spine a little bit into a twist. So your right arm threads through and under the left. You can bend your left arm as much as you need, and you try to touch your right shoulder onto the floor, and then you go back and forth a little bit. Your left arm can assist by pushing you a little bit further into the twist. But don't be too harsh yet, we're just warming up. Then come to the middle and thread your left arm through the right until your shoulder touches. Good. Adjust the arms if needed, and even shuffle yourself a little bit back and forth. Then come to the middle and tuck your toes under. Just lift your knees a few inches off the couch. Hold strong through your shoulders. And then slowly push yourself into what's called a downward facing dog, downward dog. Aim will be to have your spine as straight as you can. Your heels reaching towards the ground, and you try to lift your hips up as high as you can. Walk your feet out a little bit, getting a stretch through your calf. And 5 times we're going to shift between a plank and a downward dog. So come into the plank and push yourself back. You can breathe in, coming into the plank, breathing out, pushing yourself back. Breathing in, coming into the plank. Breathing out, pushing yourself back. 2 more to go. Come to the front and back. And again, plank and downward dog. From this position, slowly start walking your feet towards your hands. You bend your knees as much as you need at that stage. And when you arrive at your hands, you slowly start rolling up into standing. So from your hips, your lower back, your mid back, your upper back, your shoulders, push your chest bone to the front. Deep breath in and out breath. Roll down once more, all the way. The lower you go, the more you try to lift your pelvic floor up and engage your core, especially when we go into some of the twists. And slowly roll up into standing again. Breathe in, shoulders back. Breathe out, slowly roll to the front. From here, walk your hands to the right as far as that feels okay for you. And we're going to do the same roll up, but with a little twist. So you start rolling up, leading with your left shoulder. And shoulders on top, head on top. Then right arm raises up. Bend over to the left into side bending. Fold through the center. And roll up. And breathe in. And out breath. Roll to the front all the way. This time, walk your hands over to the left. And do a twisted roll up. Maybe you stack your hips on top of your lower back. Or the other way around. Your mid back, your upper back, shoulders float on top. Left arm reaches up, reach over to the right, and swing through to the middle, and roll up. Breathe in, and roll down all the way. To touch the floor, bend your knees if need be. From this position, straighten your back, and hold it there. Then put your arms down and either walk or jump into plank position. If you can, go to 1 push-up, then 1 forward dive with a back bend. And meet me in downward dog. Slowly getting warm. So if you feel like it, look between your arms, bend your knees, jump to the front or walk to the front. And slowly roll up into standing. Breathe in, shoulders back. Breathe out. Roll all the way down. And go over to the right. Do a twisted roll up, leading with your left shoulder. Then right arm reaches up and over to the left. Swing to the middle. Roll up again. And fold forward all the way. Straighten your back. Arms, hands down. Jump back. 1 push up. 1 dive to the front. 1 back fold. Downward dog. And one more to go. Look between your hands, bend your knees, jump to the front. Slowly roll up into standing. Raise your arms this time above your head and roll down all the way. Then go over to the left and do a twisted roll up, leading with your right shoulder, stacking pins on top. Left arm reaches up and over to the right, and diagonally to the front. Come to the middle and slowly roll up again, getting your spine moving, and roll down. Straighten your back, bend your knees, fingers down, jump back. One push up, one forward dive with a back fold, and downward dog. Then bend your knees, jump between your hands, straighten your back, roll forward, roll all the way up into standing. Raise your arms. Now we're going to sit back into what's called the chair pose, raising your arms as high as you can. Slowly sitting back as if you're sitting down onto a chair, and hold there. Making sure your shoulders are far away from your ears, your knees are never in front of your toes. You're still putting weight equally through your heel, your big toe, and your small toe with a wide forefoot. Then fold to the front, jump back into plank, one push-up, one backward, upward fold, downward dog. Bend your knees, look between your eyes, jump to the front, and meet me in chair pose. I'll go that way. Now this time, you're gonna go as low as you're comfortable, and you're gonna put all the weight on your right leg. Once you've transferred all the weight, you straighten out the other one and point to the side, to the front, to the back. One more, side, front, back, and fold forward. Go into chair pose again. Put all your weight on your left leg. Come up if you need a little bit. Straighten out the other leg to the side. Point to the side without touching the side. To the back. To the front, still not touching. To the right. To the back. To the front. Meet me in chair pose. Then fold to the front. Jump backwards. One push up. One forward dive to the front with the back bend. And downward dog. One more to go. Either walk to the front or look between your hands. Jump to the front. Roll up into standing all the way. Raise your arms up. And back into chair pose. From here, put all the weight on the right foot. Lift your left leg, point to the side, to the front, to the back. One more. Side, front, back. Meet me in the middle. Fold to the front. Sit back into chair pose. All the weight on your left leg. Straighten the right leg to the side, to the back, to the front. One more, to the side, to the back, to the front. Meet me in the middle and hold. Whenever it's getting tough, focus on your breathing. It will help you through. And fold to the front, hands down, jump backwards, one push up, one time diving to the front with a back bend, and downward dog. Walk your feet out a little bit if you're feeling your thighs already working quite hard. Then look between your hands, jump to the front, straighten your back and hinge back into chair pose. Arms up. Now, your right arm goes onto your right hip, your left arm reaches up, and you're going to hook your left elbow onto the right knee, and you twist yourself to the right, trying to align your head with your spine, and sitting back as low as you can, and hold. Then let yourself hang to the front, roll up into standing, raise your arms up, sit back into chair pose again. This time, left hand onto your left hip, and your right elbow hooks onto your left knee, and you twist all the way over to the left. And breathe. If it's too tough, come a bit higher up. If it's too easy, go a little bit lower. And let yourself hang to the front. Shake out your legs a little bit. Then put your arms down, jump back into plank. One push-up, one dive to the front with a back bend. And meet me in downward dog. From downward dog, lift up your right leg to the back and step it to the front next to your right foot. And come up into a high lunge, raising your arms, pelvis still facing forwards, tucking under your pelvis. And raise up the arms. Then both arms, both hands next, frame your foot. Step backwards, one push up, one dive to the front, and downward dog. Then left leg lift up, steps to the front, and raise your arms up, pushing your hips to keep them square with the mat. Frame your foot, step back, one push up, one forward fold with a back bend, downward dog. Now we'll start working a bit on your abdominal strength. So you might need to be on your knees, but you'll be all right with this. Go into a plank position. From the plank position, lift up your right leg just a few centimeters off the floor. Then you're reaching with your knee towards your chest as you go on your tips with your left leg. So your right knee reaches towards your chest to the front, and you're reaching back. Then right knee towards left elbow touching it, and back, right knee towards right elbow, and back. One more. Right knee towards the chest, and back. Right knee towards the left elbow, and back. Right knee towards the right elbow, and back. And right leg steps to the front all the way. Come into a high lunge, lifting up both of your arms. Hold it there. And we go into a twist. Put your right hand onto your right pelvis and hinge to the front, putting your left elbow onto your right knee. And you twist to the right as far as you can. Then put your hands down. If you can, step backwards One push-up, one dive to the front, one back bend, and fold into downward dog. That's always your resting position if you want to take some time out. Then shift forward into a plank pose, raise your left leg a little bit off the mat. Now, left knee towards the chest, push it to the front and back. Left knee towards the right elbow and back. Left knee towards left elbow and back. One more. To the front, to the chest and back. To the right elbow and back. To the left elbow, back. And step it to the front. Going into a high lunge. Raise your arms. And left arm onto your hip and the right elbow comes to the front, onto your left knee, and you twist all the way over to the left. And then both arms, frame your foot, step backwards if you can. One push-up, one fold to the front with a back bend. And meet me in downward dog. Walk your feet out a little bit. And in downward dog, I'm going to work a little bit on your side control. So try to put your heels to the left and bring your hip as low as you can towards the floor. Wouldn't be much. And lift up, pivoting over to the right, right hip down to the floor and up. Two more on each side, one to the left, one to the right, one to the left, and one to the right. And meet me in downward dog, pushing your hips high, sticking your buttocks out, heels towards the ground. Then right leg lifts up and steps to the front next to your right hand. In this position, just come and stand up and bring the right foot a little bit closer. Straighten your knee. You don't need to lock it out, but just straighten it. You're going to come into a one leg balance. So you're just going to stand on your right leg, trying to keep your pelvis square. Now for this, few different difficult levels. You can put your hands on your hips, your hands by your side, or your hands over the head. Try out whatever you can do, because from here, you straighten your left leg, but it's still off the floor. And you're going to hinge to the front, standing on one leg, trying to make your body in line with the floor. And you come back up, still on one leg. Try it with the arms out, maybe. Hinge to the front as far as you can. And come up. And again. Really working on your balance. No problem if you wobble around a bit. Keep going. 4. And 5. And 6. 7. Aim for 10. 8. 9. And 10. Meet me in standing on your right leg only. And you lift your left knee up towards your chest. If you need to support it with your arms, that's right. Otherwise, keeping the balance on one leg. We're going to do a few calf raises in this position. Knee holds out, find your balance, arms to the side, and we're going to aim for 10 small calf raises. So on the tiptoes of your right leg, and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Really working your calf. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Step backwards with your left leg into a split stance. And from here, you put your left leg, so it's across the mat, your right leg still facing forward. Your hips, you want to have them across the mat. And you start reaching with your right fingers down your knee, your shin. If you can, you're going to reach towards your ankle. You raise your left arm up, but you're doing a pure side bend, so still tucking your pelvis under, hips facing sideways, head in line with your spine. If you want to, grab your top hand and pull it a little bit further for a few breaths. Then prepare for a one-leg balance again. You will always be able to support yourself with the other leg and the arm, but give it a try. Your right hand onto your shin, you bend the front leg a little bit, and then you try to lift the rear leg, spinning it out to the left, and your whole upper body spins to the left as well. If you have to, touch your right hand onto the ground or put your left leg onto the floor, no problem either, but try to find that balance. Making a nice long line between your head and your toes. Or just rest in the triangle pose that we've just set up before. Always ways to modify to make it easier. Then come with your leg to the front, roll down into a forward fold, and slowly come up into standing, raising your arms and roll to the front all the way down to the floor. Frame your feet, jump back, 1 push-up, 1 forward dive with a back bend. Meet in downward dog. From here, left leg lifts up, left leg steps to the front, and you come up into a high lunge. From here, decrease the distance a little bit, straighten your front leg, and put your rear leg across the mat so that your pelvis is pushing to the front. And from here, you start reaching down with your left arm, down your kneecap, your shin, all the way towards your toes. Your right leg, your right arm reaches up and over. If it's available for you, grab your right arm with your left arm and pull a little bit further. Then put your right hand on your right hip, bend the front leg a little bit, look down. We prepare for a one-leg balance with your hips open. So lean to the front, try to raise your rear leg and spin your hip upwards so you're facing towards the right. Making a nice long line between your toes, your pelvis, your spine, and your head, and bending the knee as much as you need to try to align that hold. Then slowly lower yourself down, standing on one leg balance. You then get your balance right. You might need to put your feet down for a moment, and you raise your right knee up as high as you can without having to support it. Then again, your arms either to the outside, up, or onto your hips. And you're going to go 10 times on your tiptoes. So you raise your calf. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Still holding that balance. You straighten the right leg, but don't touch the floor. And you're going to hinge to the front as far as you can. And come up 10 times. 1, and 2. The arms by your side or in the air. 3, and 4, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. One more. Hinge to the front and step backwards into a wide lunge. Straighten the right leg, bend your left a little bit, and hook your elbow onto your left knee and twist over to the left. Put your hands onto the mat. Step backwards if you can. 1 push-up, 1 fold to the front with a back bend. And meet me in downward dog. Feel the stretch in your calves as you've just worked them out. Should feel quite nice. Look between your hands, bend your knees, walk or jump to the front, and slowly roll up into standing. Raising your arms and folding them in front of you. Now step into a split stance, as wide as you're comfortable, but make sure your toes are still across the mat, so they don't need to point outwards too much. Put them across the mat. And what you do now is we're going to go into a squat onto one side and then into a squat on the other side. Always pushing your buttocks down or backwards as far as you can. And having your spine straight. If it's too easy, walk your feet a bit further apart. 2 more each side. Left, right, left, right. Then walk your feet a little bit closer together. Squat backwards, arms still to the front. Now you're going to transfer as much weight onto the right knee as you need to put the weight there, and you lift your leg up to the side 10 times. Your left leg, that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then step over onto the left, squat to the side, keeping your pelvis nice, pointing forwards. Lift the right leg and raise it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Step a little bit closer still. This time you point your toes outwards just ever so slightly, so your knees are aiming for your second toe when you look at them, and you squat backwards as far as you can. And in the lowest position, we're going to go for 20 pulses. Let's start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come up, put your legs a little bit closer together and try to go into a full squat. If you have to, go on your tiptoes, but challenge yourself, trying to keep your heels on the ground, hinging to the front and sitting down. Your knees still pushing to the outside, arms to the front for balance, and hold. Push yourself up, walk a little bit further apart again, toes still facing straight across the mat, and sit backwards into a squat. This time you hold the squat position, and we're going to do a few calf raises in this position. So straighten your spine and push through your toes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Stand up. Go with your hands onto the floor. Step backwards. If you can, 1 push-up, 1 fold to the front with a back bend, and meet me in downward facing dog. If ever your legs are giving up, just go back into child's pose and rest there until you feel like you can join in again. If your legs are still with us and haven't left the room, you go into downward dog, you raise the right leg and you step it to the front next to your right arm. You go into a high lunge, raising both arms. You lunge a bit deeper to the front, really opening up your hip. And you put your left elbow onto the right knee and you twist. And you hold the twist for a bit. Now the next things are not as tough on the legs, so if you want to join in again, that would be a good point. I'm going to put your left hand onto the floor. Set your shoulder, because we're going to put all of your body weight through this. If you're not that strong, you can do that on your knees, on your elbow, but you'll see in a second. Raise the right arm, go on the outside of your left foot, step the right leg back to meet the left, and you're in the full side plank. From here, if you want, raise the rear leg and hold for a breath, and then join me for 5 hip dips. Lowering your hips down to the floor, but not letting them touch them, and raise up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then step the right leg next towards your left leg. We're going to do a reach through. So twist over onto your tiptoes, reach your right arm through your left, and open up into side plank again. 3 more times, reaching through, twisting, lifting up, reaching through, twisting, lifting up. Last one, reaching through, twisting, raising up. From here, if you're not already there, go onto your knees so that you're sitting on your knees. You'll put your left hand onto the side of the mat, and you're putting your right leg straight. You're still trying to let your thigh bone face horizontally up, so don't go into a side plank. Push with your arm a little bit, so this is almost straight. From here, straighten the right leg. It's a bit easier if you bend it, but try to keep it straight. And we're going to do 10 raises just to the outside and up. So lift up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then turn your foot so that your toes are pointing a little bit upwards, and you raise again 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then turn your leg inward so your toes are pointing down, your heel is leading the way, and another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then step back into plank position. Go into downward facing dog. Rest there for a few breaths. And then lift your left leg up. Step it to the front, next towards your left hand. Go into a high lunge and try to lunge forward even a little bit further. From here, put your right elbow onto your left knee and go into a twist to the left. Then put your right hand next to your left foot. Roll on the outside of your right foot and put all the weight onto your right shoulder. Step into side plank on your right. Raise the leg, raise the arm, and hold it there. Or join me for 5 hip dips. Hip down without touching, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I went for 10 for some reason, although I said 5, 8, 9, and 10. Step your left foot next towards your right and thread your left arm through the right. And come back, opening the shoulder and thread through and open up the shoulder and thread through. Hold for a breath. Open up the shoulder and then let your knee sink down so that you're resting on your right knee and your right arm. Left leg still pointing straight. Right thigh pointing vertically up towards the ceiling. And from here, tuck your hips a bit forward and raise your left leg 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Make sure your head is relaxed and in line with your spine. Then turn your toes facing upwards, heel facing down, and another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then toes pointing downwards, heel pointing upwards. Another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Meet me in a plank and push through into downward facing dog. Catch your breath or rest in child's pose for a few breaths. And then you join me again for our last leg balance of today. So lift your right leg off the floor and step to the front and come up into a high lunge. from here, reduce the distance a little bit, straighten the front leg. Now your right hand goes onto your right hip. Your left hand slides down your thigh, your knee, your shin, your ankle, and you try to touch the floor. You spin your right shoulder upwards into a twist. Adjust your stance a little bit. And it should look like you're in a triangle stance with a twist to the right. Pushing your right hips backwards, you'll feel a stretch there because we've worked them quite hard today already. Now, look down to the floor, bend your front knee, and go into a one-leg balance. Lift the rear leg, lift the arm, twist to the right. If you have to, keep the arm on the floor, bend the knee, modify as you wish, and hold. And slowly meet me in one-legged stance. Find your balance, put the other foot down again, and fold forward all the way. Slowly roll up into standing. Now, your right leg, lift it up as high as you can, and then reach with your right fingers down your shin. Maybe you can grab your heel or your toe, and you try to stretch it through and hold it there. So if you can, straighten the other leg. If not, keep it bent. You'll determine how difficult you want to make that. If you can't reach your toes, just support your knee. That's all right as well. Then change arms. Left arm on the outside of your foot. Find your balance again. And this time you open up to the right. That's a lovely opening exercise for your right buttocks. Lots of stability required to really go into that stretch, but give it a try. Then meet me in one-leg balance, and either keep that balance or join me for 10 one-legged squats. So what you do is you squat onto one leg, bring your knees and your knee together, and as the rear foot reaches up, your arms reach up as well. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, work your shoulders, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, very good. Step backwards with your right foot. Adjust your stance so that it's a little bit closer than what you're used to. And raise your arms. Then left arm onto your left hip, and your right arm slides down your thigh, your knee, your shin. Try to aim towards your ankle. Put it on the floor, put it a bit to the right, and twist through to the left, opening up your left buttock muscles. Your right thigh spins inwards, and your left hip reaches backwards while you really try to fold to the front. Mentally prepare for the last twisted balance of the day. Can't really say last one-leg balance because we have one more when we hold our toes. Look down towards your feet. Slowly bend your left leg, raise your right leg. Bring your right fingers to the front and twist to the left and hold it there. If you haven't been falling with any of the balances, just hold that balance and close your eyes for 3 seconds, and we'll talk again. Then come to the front, one leg balance on your left, put the right foot down, fold to the front, slowly roll up into standing, raise your arms above you, and lift up your right knee as high as you can. And then you go down your knee, your shin towards your toe. Left hand holds the left toes. Straighten them out. Try to keep upright. It's all right if you look a bit more like this, as long as you're working on your balance and on your range. That's all right. As you can see, I'm a bit out of breath, but talking, breathing, and exercising takes its toll as well. Change hands, right hand onto the left outer arch of your foot. Straighten through and twist over to the left. Feel that lovely opening through your left buttocks, twisting to the left. Then still on one leg, either hold one-legged balance or 10 one-legged squats. So you squat backwards, bringing your knees, your left knee and your elbows together. You reach apart, reach with your arms. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Step backwards, lunge to the front, left elbow onto the right knee, and twist. Frame your foot, step backwards, 1 push up, 1 forward dive with a back bend, and meet me in downward dog. From here, either walk to the front or bend your knees, jump to the front, and meet me in sitting or in seated position. If you want, have a little bit of water. I'll do the same before we work a bit more on your abdominals. So I meet you in sitting. Feet central to the front, as upright as you can. That means you need to lean back a bit. That's totally fine, because that's what we'll do next anyway. Lean a bit backwards, but holding your abdominals in. You can determine how difficult you want to make that. Then raise the right leg, raise the left leg, arms to the front, but shoulders down and out. And if it's available to you, push your legs straight into a V-sit and hold that V-sit. Legs still up, slowly round your back so that you're going down onto the floor. And lift up in V-sit, holding that. Putting your legs down, your arms underneath your shoulders, or actually a bit further back, rotate them out and go into a reverse plank. Your shoulders and your wrists will end up in a line. If it's okay for you, let your neck fall backwards. If not, just put it so that you face straight forward. Then slowly lower yourself down. Meet me in V-sit, straighten your legs if you can. And now we're going to cross your legs, right over left, left over right, about 10 times. Keep going. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then you give it 10 kicks up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Put your legs down, your shoulders down. Push through into reverse plank. Let your head hang backwards. And breathe. Slowly lower yourself down. Meet me in V-sit or whichever abdominal position you can hold. From here, slowly roll down with your upper body. Raise your right leg. If you have to, hold it behind your knees, but try to have your hands by your side. And you're going to reach 10 times with your hands towards your toes to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then change legs. Right leg straight, left leg up. Reach to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Both legs up. Lie back, hands behind your neck. Now, using your lower abdominals. For many people, there won't be a lift, but give it a try. You try to lift up your pelvis off the ground, and then you aim for straight 10 sit-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going. Reach with your pelvis upwards. 9, 10. Good. Slowly lower your legs, bend them, holding them up still. And I'm sure you've got one more repetition in you. Straighten the legs, lift your pelvis up. This time, left elbow towards right knee, 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right elbow towards left knee. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And slowly bend your knees. Sit them down onto the floor. Hug them in towards your chest a little bit. Roll right to left. And straighten the leg and roll into seated. Challenge, jump back into a plank. Microphone is falling out. Give me 1 push-up. 1 push to the front with the back. And meet me in downward dog. Downward dog, go into plank position, not long to go. Set your elbows down onto the floor, then roll onto the outside of your left foot. Go into side plank on your forearm. And here, you're just holding that. Put your upper leg up as well. The last sideway hold, so really hold until your hip lowers down almost by its own. Or join me now, lower it down and rest on your elbow. Relax your abdominals for a while. Then you want to be one nice straight line. Your ankles, your knees, your hips, your shoulders, your head in line. Sometimes I look down a bit to know what's going on, but ideally straight ahead. From here, lift your abdomen a little bit, and then raise the right leg a little bit up in the air. If you need to, put your right hand down in front of you for support. Without changing the shape of your spine, you put the leg to the front. You do the biggest circle you can imagine to the back. You meet the other leg again. 5 in that direction. 1. Still lifting through your belly. 2. 3. 4. 5. Then change direction. Go with the leg backwards and up into a circle to the front and down. 1 and 2. If you can, put the arm up as well. 3, 4, 5. Then go a little bit to the front, turn your toes inwards, and 10 pulses upwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn your foot pointing upwards, and another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Meet me in plank on your forearms. Roll over onto the right outside, your right foot. Lift the arm, lift the leg if you can, and hold there. And then slowly lower yourself down. Relax your belly for a moment. Adjust your elbow. Set your spine in a line with your ankles and your hips. Lift the left leg a little bit up. Then bring it to the front. Biggest circle you can. To the back and down. To the front. Back and down. 2, 3, 4, 5. Change direction. Back and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Meet me in the middle position. Toes pointing downwards. And 10 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And toes pointing upwards. 10 pulses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Come back into plank on your forearms. If you want, hold that a little bit longer. Otherwise, slowly sink down into lying on the belly. From this position, we're going to start a series of stretches so your muscles can relax a little bit more. Positions will still be challenging, but that's what you want to get out of today's session. So you go onto your elbows, still clenching your buttocks a little bit. You want to pull your elbows towards your body, your chest to the front, bending backwards, really stretching out your front abdominals. You've worked them hard, so give them a good stretch. Make sure you're not hinging through your lower back, it's really your upper back that wants to do the back bend. Then straighten out the right elbow and twist yourself a bit over to the left, opening up the right side of your abdominals a little bit more. Then straightening out the left elbow, going over onto your right, and breathing again. Come to the middle and hold that. If you want, try to push both of your elbows straight, but only if that doesn't give you any lower back pain. Then come back into child's pose. Rest there for a moment and walk your hands to the right and to the left. See whether one side is a little bit tighter. Wiggle around a little bit. And I tell you in the meantime what's next. Today we've worked lots on hip rotation and hip stability. So I'd hope that you feel the outside of your buttocks burning a little bit by now. I definitely do. So we're going to stretch those out and they'll be quite pedantic with the setup. And you don't need to end up in the same position as I do. You can always bend the knee a little bit more or not sink in so far. Now, to get into this position, you go onto all fours, but not to hold it, just to set it up. You step, we start with the right leg. Step the right leg to the front, Not as far as your hands, but just to the middle underneath your chest. From here, you thread your right foot underneath your left arm to the outside as far as you can. If you have to bend the knee a bit further, that's all right, but still put weight on your arms because you don't want to rotate to the side yet. Walk your rear leg to the back as you try to lower yourself to the floor without opening up to the side, staying on top. Always important. Lift your big toe towards your knee. That will stabilize the knee so that the stretch ends up in your hip. If you can, put your right hand onto your knee, your left hand onto the heel. It's totally fine if your knee looks a bit more like this. Or if you can, put it a bit further to the front and then straighten your right elbow or push through it a bit and aim over towards your left toes or the floor or wherever you want to end up. Make sure it's still a twist to the left and that your hips sink down and the rear leg stretches backwards as far as you can. Then come up, go straight to the front. Then come up, go with your right hand next to your knee, a bit further to the outside. Your left armpit will reach towards your right knee. Once you're in the twist, you use your right hand to push yourself into rotation to the right. That will really open up your right buttock muscles. And just wiggle around a bit, either to the front a bit or to the back, wherever that stretch feels most satisfying. Then, hands in front of you, step back onto all fours, not to hold, but to stretch. Put your left leg into the middle underneath your chest. Fold it through to the left and slide your rear foot backwards as you slide down. Toes pointing up, try to get on top of your knee. Straighten the elbow and lean to the front towards your toes. My left side is quite a bit tighter, so you might notice it's not as easy for me to reach the floor, but I'm working on it. Then come to the middle, lean to the front straight, and then left hand to the outside towards your left. Right armpit reaches towards your left knee. Look to the left and twist to the left. Big twist. Letting your hips sink down. And again, shuffle a bit to the front and back to see if you can get a bit more satisfaction out of that stretch. And then meet me in child's pose. Again, we'll do an odd looking stretch that many people avoid doing in public. At this point, you're lucky because your camera is off. But what you'll do is you're going to go onto all fours. And now you walk your knees apart, but you keep your shins at the same level. From here, you make sure that your bum is not sticking out, but you tuck it under a little bit. And all that you want to do is you want to lower yourself down to the front. Yes. And rock a bit back and forth. See where there's a bit more bind. Also play around with either tilting your hips upwards or tucking them under. I'm quite sure tucking them under is a little bit more satisfying. The child-friendly description of this pose is called the frog pose, in case you wonder. And walk your knees Together again. This time, right knee stays where it is. Left lunge to the front. Align your knee, your hip capsule, your shoulder in one line. Then make sure that your buttock muscles are on, so you're going to thrust your hips to the front, just as we've done previously. Then you push your hips further to the front and a bit upwards. Then you use your abdominals to draw your pelvic bone further up. If that's not stretchy yet, you walk with your left toes a bit further to the front. There you go. Stretching your short hip extensors. On the right, to make that a bit more into a side opening, stay very upright, reach with the right arm upwards and bend over to the left as if you want to reach down to the floor, but make sure you're not lunging to the front, just keep it sideways. Then meet me in the middle. Now you're allowed to lunge to the front. We don't want any pressure on your kneecap. So if you're not so familiar with this, you might want to double up, triple up your yoga mat or get a cushion there. Otherwise, join me as you are. Lunge to the front, put your right hand down, then look back towards your right foot and lift it up and hold it with your left leg. From this position, try to straighten up, join with the other hand if you can, or hold it to the front for balance. Pull your heel towards your sacrum. So you'll probably not to the outside, a bit further to the inside than where you would usually put it. And from here, same again, thrust your hips to the front and start walking with your left leg to the front into a lunge. That will stretch out your long hip flexors. You'll feel that all the way down your quads as well. If yours looks more like this, that's totally fine as well. Or if you can't even reach your leg, put it up on the sofa behind you and lean backwards a little bit. From this position, slowly lower the leg. Walk your left foot a bit further to the outside. And favorite of mine, try to aim with your elbows down to the ground, but maybe start with your hands and then lunge to the front as far as you can. If you want to give your left knee a bit of a hug, wiggle from side to side. Then change legs. Put your right leg to the front. Align your left knee, your left hip, your left shoulder. Then tuck your hips under, thrust your pelvis to the front. Lunge to the front until you feel a stretch. Then draw your abdominals upwards a bit. If that's not stretchy yet, walk your right toes a bit further to the front. And you should really feel it quite high up in your left groin. If you want, put your right hand down, reaching towards the floor. Left arm upwards. And again, without going to the front or to the back, just do a pure side bend to the right, trying to touch the floor, but still thrusting your hips to the front. Many people end up in this stretchy position like this, which is not doing very much in terms of your hip, except that it overloads your lower back. And then hinge to the front, put a bit of cushioning underneath your left kneecap or lunge to the front so that you're actually resting on your thigh bone. Left arm on the floor, look backwards, grab hold of your left heel or put it up on the sofa behind you. That works as well. If you have the balance, join with the other leg. Pull your heel towards your sacrum and hold it there. Again, clenching your buttocks, thrusting your hips to the front, using your abdominals and walking your right foot to the front as far as that feels comfortable. Maybe go a bit from side to side, rotating a bit without losing balance, and see whether there's any fibers that need a bit more of a stretch. Then slowly lower the leg down, Walk your right foot as far as you can to the front and outside. And aim with your elbows to the floor, or just put your arms down. If you want, give your right knee a bit of a hug with your right shoulder and wiggle a bit side to side or lunge a bit back and forth. And then step back, rest in child's pose. Come into, you don't even need to do a plank, just lower yourself down onto the floor. I'll change the viewing angle so that you can see what's going on. If you can, rest on your forehead. And now, put your arms in a T shape. From here, we'll start with the left leg. You just lift the left leg up a little bit and rotate it over to the right. Your back is okay with that, keep rotating, otherwise keep it about in the middle. Now in this position, rest on the side of your face and walk your right hand as far as you can away from your ear. Really use your fingers to crawl a bit further. Once you're in this position, you bend the left arm and push yourself into rotation. What that will do is will open the front of your right chest. But really make sure you're crawling away with your right fingers and twist. Lower yourself a bit, bring the arm upwards a little bit higher and twist again. Make sure it's far away from your neck. If your shoulder is close towards your ears, you will not get a stretch. And if you can, walk a little bit higher and a bit further away, really pushing yourself into rotation. Your left foot might touch the floor. You can keep it to the front as well, if that's more comfortable. Then meet me in the middle. Go into a T shape again with your hands. This time you're lifting your right leg off. You're rotating it over to the left. And you're resting on your left face. Once you're in this position, you walk your left fingers as far as you can away from your shoulder, and your right arm comes inwards, and it presses yourself upwards, stretching your upper spine into rotation, but mostly the front of your chest muscles. Rest the head down, no need to hold it. And then walk the arm a bit higher up, far away from your ears, and twist again, almost pushing your left top chest further into the floor, your right chest far away from the floor. If the muscles are quite tight, they will compress a bit of nerve that runs down towards your forearm and your fingers. So it's totally normal if you feel a stretch there or some pins and needles. You don't need to worry about that. Just stretch a bit more frequently and less vigorous. Come to the middle, walk a bit higher up and twist at that stage. Probably your right heel has touched the floor already. Hold for a few breaths. Then lie on your front and in any way that you want, roll over to rest on your back. Bend your knees up, reach towards the outside of your feet and pull your knees up towards your armpits as far as you can, rocking a bit from side to side. In yoga, that's called the happy baby pose, because many babies like resting in this position, potentially putting the feet together, but we'll put them apart a bit. And then slowly lower them onto the floor. Let your whole body sink into the floor, arms by your side, palms facing upwards. And you've deserved 2 minutes or a few more minutes of just relaxing in this position. Check in with your breathing again. Deep breath in through your belly and then out. Let your belly sink down. Breathing in and out. Making the out breath a little bit longer than the in breath.